So to finish up the video from yesterday, I never went over the motor swap I would do today or this day, like in this day and age with the prices and all that, like how I was saying about everything being so expensive and stuff with these motors. So here's what I would do if I was going to build an S13 right now and I didn't have any S13s at all. So I'd get a shell, and you had to really decide off the bat, I think, to make it worthwhile. Do you want more than like 300 to 350 horsepower? If you're not sure about that, maybe try to find somebody that has something like this. This one's probably making like, I don't know, 285 at the wheels, I would say. Probably roughly 275, 285 at the wheels. It's on like 15 pounds of boost. But this thing runs really good. On the draggy, it'll run a high 12, and I can't rip second gear right, so that's slow shifting into second, and I have to short shift to second, or it won't let me shift to second right either. So I'm basically shifting to second at like 5,500 RPMs versus 7,500, and then I'm shifting slow to second, so I'm losing like at least a half a second with that whole operation, I think. So I think if this had a good transmission in it, I could probably run a mid 12 with it, and that'd probably be with these tires on the back. I did the draggy with street tires on the back, and it spun all first gear and a little bit into second. But anyway, you basically get yourself 300 wheel horsepower. You got a mid 12 second car if you can drive it, and you have it set up pretty decent. Not that it's a drag car at all. It's just, I'm just saying for reference of how quick it is, basically. And a 12-second car, autocross, or road course. I mean, a 12-second car is a mid 12-second car moves pretty good on a road course or autocross. I mean, most of the cars up there at autocross that aren't full-blown race cars are probably more like a 13.5 to 14.5 second cars, I would say, that I see up there. I mean, there are some faster cars up there, but I'm just saying this is plenty of power. You could definitely run a good time up there autocrossing with this amount of power, with this light of a car. So that's what you really need to figure out there. You got to really know what you want out of the car. So say you don't want over 350 horsepower, I would just do an SR20. So I said, nah, JDM engines are so expensive. They are, but honestly, for just the sheer, this is a really good motor. Just for the sheer like drivability of this motor and stuff like that, I feel like this motor would be the way to go. I mean, these motors are awesome to drive. They are pretty much instant, like they build boost instantly, so there's like no lag really. Turn the boost up to like 13 to 15 psi depending on the setup with the stock turbo even, and it's going to spool up quick, and it's going to make decent power for what it is. You'll be surprised like how quick you could make one of these if you get it running right. Like as good as this one runs right now, you would be surprised that it's just basically a full bolt-on car with a stock ECU and stock injectors at this point in time, and it rips for what it is. I mean, I have a 500 plus horsepower RB25, and this thing doesn't feel slow. I mean, it's a lot slower than that car, obviously, but it's not slow by any means. I mean, it beats a lot of cars on the road. I mean, not many cars on the road are, like from a roll, this thing's as fast as a mid 12-second car. So there isn't a lot of cars nowadays from the factory besides like Corvettes and GTRs and obviously like expensive cars that are this fast, you know, like the, say, $50,000 under range brand new car wise. I mean, it's pretty quick. I mean, still, it's fun. It's plenty of power. I mean, I could get a T28 ball bearing turbo on this thing, do injectors and an ECU with a different tune and stuff like that. I could even do a digital dash, like a Link ECU and a Strata dash, and this thing would be set up real cool, and do some injector dynamic injectors in it, excuse me, and this thing would be making 325 area easily And this thing with 325 would be a ripper. If it had a better transmission in it than this one, or could figure out why it's weird to shift into second fast. It doesn't grind or anything. It's just kind of hard to shift into second. It's strange. It's been like that since I put the transmission in. But the rest of the car is set up for the power to make. I can make 500 horsepower with the rest of the car because I have the same clutch in my RB car. So everything else in this thing's ready to go. It'd be a matter of just doing a turbo, injectors, and a tune. And this thing would be over 300 to 325 horsepower like nothing with a T28 Garrett turbo. So if I wasn't gonna do an SR20 and I wanted to make more horsepower in the future, I wouldn't build an SR20 to make over 350 horsepower. I just don't think it's worth it. They're too expensive to get into, for one. If you're gonna build a motor, basically is what I'm trying to say, is if you're gonna build a motor, don't do an SR20, don't do an RB25. I would just do a KA24DE and build that, because you got to build it for boost anyway. So you might as well just build a KA if you're going to build a motor for boost, because by the time you buy one of these motors, you could have already had a fully built KA built for boost. So you could do a K24 swap in one of these. I can't really speak from experience with them because I've never had one, but from what I see, they look pretty cool. There's a bunch of other swaps out there, but if you're talking about doing a swap for semi-budget, you know what I mean? Not like all-out expense, just like don't really care about money and just buy whatever type of swap, you might as well do something crazy. But I'm talking about if you're trying to have less than 20 grand in one of these cars, even with 500 horsepower to the wheels, I would do a KA-DE, because you can buy them still. If you look around, you can buy KAs for probably $500 to $1,000. I've almost bought a tour part long block the other day for $300. I should have bought it, but I just didn't feel like moving it around and everything in my garage and stuff, so I didn't get it. But I just seen one that was tore apart, but the guy said it was a good running motor for $300. That'd be a perfect one to build. And from there, you could just build that and probably have about, I don't know, probably like $5,000 or less into the motor, probably less than that. And you could have a fully built KA. That's with paying a machine shop and everything. And you could probably have a fully built motor with forged bottom end, everything like that, ARP head studs, all that stuff ready for boost. And pretty much from there, all you have to do is buy your hot side, turbo, manifold, and wastegate. And from there, you just need an ECU and stuff. You could have a $10,000 setup or less, probably, that would make, you could probably make like 600 horsepower or more. Built KAs can make some power. That's coming off a little bit there in this thing. This is a Type X too. It's got like the tiger stripe interior panels and even the glove box. I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of dark in here. Yeah, you probably can't, but the lighting's terrible in here. But anyway, that's basically my video here. I would just probably, I mean, the KA and the SR and stuff like that, they're made for these cars. That's why I would just stick with those. You could get a K20 or K24 and do something like that or whatever if you really wanted to, but I feel like with all the swap components and stuff like that and all the parts and all the different stuff that doesn't fit, I feel like you'd be farther ahead with a KA24DE. And if you get lucky enough and get a 91 or newer 240, comes with a KA in it, then you're set. The only thing you're going to have to do if you make more than like a couple hundred horsepower over stock is you're going to have to do a different transmission. So you'll probably have to do a Z32 transmission or a CD09 or something like that. I don't know. You have to do something similar to that. But I mean, you could probably buy a couple KA transmissions and just have them laying around. That's the thing. they're cheap enough still that the prices of those are probably, I don't know, a quarter to a fifth as much as SR20 motors. So just something to keep in mind. So that's what I would do, I think, is if you're looking for 350 horsepower or less, SR20 DET swap, because they're awesome. And it's like one of my favorite motors. I'm a motor guy. I like motors and cars, and I've been doing stuff with cars and stuff and motors for a long time. And I'm telling you, out of all the motors, all the cars I ever had, SR20 DET is probably one of the best motors overall. Not to make the most power, just the best to drive. And they don't give me any problems usually. Like this car, I've had it for, I don't know, I think going on 4 or 5 years now. And after I got the bugs worked out of it, the thing's been awesome. I drove it to the beach and stuff a few times and stuff for cruising week and all kinds of stuff. Drove it to autocross it for the day, drive it and drift it and then drive it back. Like, it's a sweet car. I daily drive it a lot too in the summertime. So just something to think about. I just figured I would share my experience with them since I've been driving S chassis and S chassis with SR20s and KAs and stuff in them for the last, I've consistently had them now for probably since 2004 or 5, just say 2005 was when 2004 I think was when I got the car. So I owned one since 2004, not these. That car I don't have anymore, but so basically 22 years pretty much coming up on. So, and I've had one SR20 swap car for over 8 years, or 7 or 8 years, and I had this car, like I said, for around 4 or 5 years, and both of them have been awesome, and I've had zero issues with the engines in them. And the RB, I have blown one of those up, but I'm only on my second RB, and I think I'm at like 8 years running RB25s now, and I'm at 3 years with this new RB I have now with over 500 wheel horsepower on stock internals. So they're cool motors, and I like them, but they're super expensive. So unless I can find one just as a decent deal to keep sitting around somewhere, and then I get $5,000 to put into the car here in the next year or so to do a link ECU in that car and a digital dash and have all the fail safes and stuff. And then I'd like to have an extra motor sitting around for it before they get too much more expensive, one I can build, because I don't want to wait until the motors are like $7,000-8,000 for a long block. In a couple years, you know, they will get to that point eventually. When I first did my first SR20, I was going to say this too. When I first did my first SR20 swap in 2007, I first did a single cam to dual cam KA swap. My first KA was dual overhead cam, and then my sister totaled that car. I left her drive it to work one night, and she wrapped it around a tree. So she bought me a single cam automatic mint condition one owner car, and then I swapped my dual cam into that, and then after that I swapped an SR20 into that. So what I was going to say though is the SR20 swap, I paid $1,850, I think it was, or $1,750 or $1,850. I think it was like $1,850, and out the door it was like $2,000 or something, right over $2,000 for a full motor set with low miles, red top SR20. And now that same motor set 20 years later is $6,500. So they went up $4,500 in 20 years. So it's just something to keep in mind. And the thing is, they didn't go up that much at first. It was just within the last like probably 5 years or so, 10 years at the most, that they really went up a lot. So just keep that in mind if you do want to get a JDM motor like that. I'll probably try to get one sooner than later. And if you're really into keeping the car long term, I would try to get a spare motor and just keep it just to have it, because that's going to save you money in the long run too. it just depends how into these things you are. I mean, I plan on having a 240 or a 180, you know, probably the rest of my life, at least one, you know. I don't know, like, if I had to pick between my 240 and this thing, it's a really hard choice, and I've been thinking about it before, because I really, financially speaking, I'd be better off with one of them, but I can't really decide on which one I'd pick. They're both so good at different things, and they're both so much different. So that's a video for another time. Maybe I'll get both the cars here. I have my 240 at the storage, my storage garage. So maybe I'll bring that over here and talk about them with them both here, and talk about picking between the two and the differences between the two and what's better about one or whatever, because they are completely different. And I'll tell you for sure one thing, this one's way more practical. This car, it could be a daily, has AC, has good heat. The 240 has good heat too, but I'm just saying this car could easily be a daily driver. I mean, I daily drive it right now, so the 240 could be a daily probably, but the thing is, it probably will never have AC, and it's so hot when that car in the summertime, unless I can figure out an electric AC situation for that, because I don't want any AC running off the motor. It's too tight in there already, and I don't need anything else blocking the radiator and the intercooler. But anyway, long story short, I'm getting this long now. This video is turning into 20 minutes like the other one. But yeah, if you want to subscribe or anything and watch some of these videos, I'll stop talking and probably start driving these things soon. And also, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll take both my cars out and the Harley out, and anything else I can think of that would be cool out, and do some burnouts or donuts or something to celebrate the 1,000 subscriber mark, because I've been trying to get to that forever. So if you are subscribed, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for watching so far. And also, I will be doing more videos on 180s, 240s, Harleys, Dynas. I might end up getting out of Harleys for a little bit. I'm not sure yet, just because it's so expensive, and I really want to get into taking these cars to the track. So if I do get out of the Harley, I'll be taking this thing to Summit Point and the 240, hopefully. I'd like to set the 240 up more to drift, this thing up more to road course, road track, I don't know what you call it, road course racing style, whatever. But I'd like to get into that. So I'd like to get into some track driving. So to afford that, I might have to get out of the Harley for a little bit. But anyway, I'll get off here, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.